Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from the 8th group. We will talk about translation practice, narrative, and descriptive text. The first material will be explained by Sheilla visyamanda, and then me, and the last is Riris Puspitasari. So check this video.
And then I want to explain about the process of translation and the strategies of translation. Okay, begin from the translation process. I want to explain about it. The process of translation is the translator gets to move step of doing translation, start from finding the search language of text or words and understanding the equivalence in target language. Okay, and then according Basamalah in 2007 he said that the result of the translation from understanding the search of the text is from finding and interpretation. So, reading should be the way to understand and effectively interpretation and finding the most equivalence. Then the translator is also need to slow down to examine a problem's word or phrase or synthetic or structural. It is can be cultural assumption with full analytical. Okay, then the translation is not only need to understand the linguistic competence, but rather the social linguistic also. And then the translator needs to practice a lot. They must more familiar with the second language they would be. Okay, and then when you want to translate, uh, easily and effectively, you are required to be acquainted not only with the target language but rather than to all what is related to it, either culturally, socially, or historically. Okay, and then now we move to the translation strategies. Okay, translation strategies is the way to translate when you have the problems in translation. Okay, and then if you have problem with your if you cannot translate uh, easily, then you must make the strategies of translation. And then translation strategies has two strategies. They are strategies relate to what happened in the text. Okay, and then the second strategies relate to what happened in the translation process. Okay, you must relate with by two strategies translation. Okay, and then the common strategies in translation is a literal translation. It is the common that focus on word by word. Okay, in addition, the researchers they are uh, Vinay and Darbel are divided into two strategies also. It is they are direct translation or oblique translation, or it is called free translation. Uh, okay, that the two researchers, this is Vinay and Dalben, okay, from two categories that I have mentioned, and then the Vinay and Dalbert comprise to 7 strategies. Again, maybe it's have been explained by the previous group or previous presenters, and then here I just want to mention a little about it. Okay, and for the first is borrowing strategies is borrowing, and then the chalk translation, tra- uh, literal translation, transposition, modulation, equivalence, and adaptations. And then they all about the strategies and strategies translation. And then now I think it will be continued by my friends Renaldo, Jefri, Mahendra. Okay, thank you.
The next is narrative text. Uh, we must know what is narrative text first. Uh, Narrative text is the stories in the form of fairy tales or folk tales, myths, and legends. According to Angela Caraquillo, uh, written about the meaning of the narrative text is found in stories and has a structured organization that includes a beginning, middle, and the end of story. Uh, so the structure of narrative text is orientation, complication, and resolution. Orientation is sets the scene and introduce the characters, time, and place. The complication is the problem that rises in the story, and the resolution is the solution to the problem that happened in the story. Ah, narrative text usually maybe narrative text is using simple past tense for the text, uh, using particular noun to refer to people, animals, and things in the story, using an adjective to build non-group to describe animals, people, or thing in the story, and using conjunction and the time conjunction to sequence event through time, uh, using adverb phrase to locate in particular event, and the last in narrative text, using saying and thinking verb to indicate what characters are feeling, thinking, and saying. The example of translation in narrative text, like it was a time where a knight heard about the contest to fight for the king's daughter, and we must translate this. The translate is, dahulu kala ada seorang ksatria yang mendengar adanya sayembara untuk memperebutkan putri raja. Uh, I think you guys must translate with uh, press by jadi kalian itu kita lebih baik mentranslate menggunakan phrase daripada word by word or sense to sense. Karena di narrative text banyak sekali hal yang berhubungan, jadi tidak bisa diartikan hanya word by word or sense to sense. Like once upon a time there was a witch living alone in the jungle. Jadi pada zaman dahulu ada seorang penyihir yang hidup menyendiri di dalam hutan. We have the example of full of narrative text and the translation. You can see in our paper, and the next is descriptive text will be explained by Riris Puspitasari.
I will explain about descriptive text. Okay, first, definition of descriptive text. Descriptive text is a text which says what a person or a thing is like. The purpose is to describe and reveal a particular person, place, or something. And the second is generic structure of descriptive text. When writing descriptive text, there are some generic structure, and the arrangement is definition and description. Okay, I will explain identification. Identification is contains about the introduction of a person, place, animal, or object will be described, and description is contains a description of something such as animal, things, place, or anything by describing related to what the writer described. And the next is language feature of descriptive text. First, specific participant. Specific participant has a certain object, is not common and unique. And second is the use of the adjective to clarify the noun. And the third, the use of simple present tense. The sentence pattern used is simple present because it tells the fact of the object described. And the last is action verb that show an activity. And for the example of description text you can see in the paper, there are some example of descriptive text.
Okay, and then from you watch the video of explanation about the narrative text, descriptive text, uh, strategies of translation and process of translation, and then we can take conclusion about the material. It is the process of translation according to Basamalah 2007 say that the result of translation from understanding the source of the text is from reading and interpretation. Okay, and then the translator need also the practice a lot. They must they must more familiar with the second language they would be. When you want to translate easily and effectively, you are required to be acquainted not only with the target language, but rather than to all what is related to. Either it is culturally or socially and historically. And then the conclusion about the strategies of translation, it is translation strategies is the way to translate when you have some problem when you translate some descriptive of narrative text, and then you can do these two strategies. They are strategies related to what happened in the text, and then the second is strategies related to what happened in the translation process. Okay, and then you can do that two strategies, and after it we can conclude the narrative text first. Narrative text is the stories in the form of fairy tales or folk tales, myth, and legend. And then while the descriptive text is the text explain about whether a person or a project and others. And then the purpose of the descriptive text is uh, to describe a person or something or object. It is must to be clear and either abstract or concrete. Okay, that's all about the explanation about our material. It is descriptive and narrative text, and then the process of translation and also the strategies of translation. And then we think that's all about the material. And then uh, we we do sorry if we make some mistakes here. And then that's all I say. The last I say, wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.